This is a custom acoustic leak detector I designed to find underground pool PVC pipe leaks through a concrete slab. Now, I've been working on this project for the last 10 months, running countless computer simulations of the circuits, breadboarding several revisions, and going through multiple revisions of the PCB layouts. Today we are finally bench testing the user enclosure PCB. Now, as you can see, the green LED is lit, indicating that we have power to the board. Now, I have the switch leads jumped together in this test, but there will be a double pole single throw switch in the final build. Notice there are two dual gain pots. The first one you're looking at is for the high pass filter, and the other one over on the side over there is for the low pass filter. Now, these two pots are for the band pass filter, which we will discuss later. Since we are strictly bench testing the main PCB today, the piezo and the preamp sensor head are not hooked up. Instead, I'm simulating that acoustic sensor signal by injecting a controlled sine wave from my signal generator directly into the main board. We are monitoring the circuit on two scope channels. Channel 1 is yellow trace looking at our bandpass filter buffer output, and channel 2 is the magenta trace monitoring the final audio path heading to the headphones. Now, as you can see, the two signals have very symmetrical peaks. And also you can see that our power supply, we're using 8.5 volts for a positive and a negative rails, because this project is using a dual rail power supply. Now, right now we're sitting at 50 millivolts peak to peak as an input signal that's coming into the board. And I'm sitting at 300 hertz, and of course we're putting in a sine wave. So I'm going to crank it up. So let's go up to 100 millivolts. Now you can see our output here on the going to the audio, coming out of the audio amp increase. We got about 2.9 volts peak to peak. And if you come over here and look, this is our red LED. If this here signal gets too strong and we start getting clips or distortion into our audio output, then this here should start blinking. So let's crank it up even more. Let's go to, say, 150 millivolts on our signal generator. So I'm coming back over here. I'm going to put in 150 millivolts peak to peak. You can see our signal increased. You can see now we're running at 4.35 volts peak to peak on our output. We don't see any distortion. Everything still looks good. We also see that our LED is not blinking, so let's increase it. Let's go up to, say, 175 millivolts peak to peak. As you can see, our signal still looks good. We now have 5.03 volts peak to peak. The LED is not blinking. Now let's go up to 180 millivolts. 180 millivolts peak to peak. Now notice right here, you can see that the bottom peak is already starting to flatten out. That's distortion. We don't want that. So come over here and look at our red LED. It's letting us know that that signal is too strong. So to alleviate this problem, what we will do is we turn back on the preamp gain, and then that will turn this off, and then our signal, of course, will be less, and then it'll remove this distortion. Let's go ahead and crank it up even more. Let's put in 190 millivolts peak to peak. Now notice, now our clips is getting flatter, and now we're getting them up here on the top. And again, we still have our LED over here that's blinking. Let's back off. Let's go back down to 175 millivolts. Okay. You can see our signal looks nice and clean. No clipping. We come back to our LED and it's turned off. So everything looks good. Okay, so you can see right now I'm setting the power supply 8.5 volts. This will be typical of what two lithium-ion batteries will be. But as you know, as you're using the project, you know, the batteries are going to start to degrade and the voltage is going to get lower. So I've also designed a battery monitoring circuit to look at both the positive and the negative rails, so that if the voltage gets to around, say, 7 volts, then we know it's time to take the batteries out and recharge them. Now here is the yellow LED right here. So if the battery voltage gets down to around 7 volts, then this yellow LED should come on. So I'm going to come back over to our power supply. I'm going to start turning the voltage down. We're about 7.7. Yellow LED is still not on. 7.5 still off. 7.3 still off. Now we're going to go to 7.2, so it's starting to come on, and there we are. And 7.1. So it looks like it's 7.1 volts. Our yellow LED is on. Now, if we look right over here, I'll turn it up just a little bit. And we turn it up, and I'm at 7.4 volts. So we look, and now the yellow LED is off. So I'm going to crank it right on back up, put it back at 8.5. Close enough. Well, let me get it one. There we go. Close enough. Okay, so anyway, we can see that everything is working as it should. Now that you've seen the main board features in action, let's look at how the signal gets there. Now, because piezo sensors produce a tiny, high impedance signal, I'm mounting the preamp stage inside this separate shielded enclosure to block out ambient interference. Now, the piezo crystal itself is mounted on top of this here round aluminum plate. Now, right above it, there's a Delrin piece of plastic, has a round cutout, and then the piezo fits inside that cutout. If we look right here, you can see that there's this here bar and this here little point that's got a spike on it. What I'm going to use this for is if I want to listen to the earth itself, then I'll take this and then I can take this probe, stick down into the earth, and then that way I can listen for any kind of water leaks. When I want to listen to the concrete slab itself, then what I'll do is I'll remove this here attachment. It has 2 1/4-20 bolts. I'll remove it. Then this here will lay flat right on top of the concrete. Now let's take a look on the inside. So we're going to remove that. Tilt it up so you can see it a little bit. This is the actual preamp stage right here. You can see we have our shielded cable. It's going down to the piezo crystal. You can see the shield is grounded to this here enclosure. And also you can see a terminal block up here. Now this terminal block is going to be receiving the V+, the V-, and the ground. And it's also from the main enclosure board. And also we're going to be taking, you can see these here pot. This is for the pot for the preamp, which is also in the main enclosure. And we're going to be taking this preamp output and we're going to be sending it up towards the bandpass filter so it gets processed as you saw earlier. Now, this preamp has an adjustable gain and it can go from 1 to 21. Now this will boost the audio right at the sensor head to keep that ambient noise out of our cable, which is going to run up to the main PCB. Now in the total, this project can amplify that tiny piezo signal up to 1,056 times so it can be cleanly processed by the rest of our circuitry. Okay, this board right here is the next revision. That's from the one that we're testing on the bench right now. So that'll give you an idea, kind of, maybe you can see it a little bit better. Okay, let's move over to our main enclosure. Now our main enclosure, I've already machined everything out. You can see here's our LEDs, there's our signal overload, here's our power on, here's our battery low LED, here's our off and on switch. This is where our headphone jack will go. This is the preamp, this is a high pass, this is a low pass, and this is the volume control for the audio output. Now we swing around to the back. You can see that we have the mounting hardware. You can see that we have a strain relief. This is going to be for where the shielded cable comes up. Here, right here is our dual battery compartment. And of course you'll be able to take the tray, slide it out, take the batteries out, and then you can recharge them so you don't have to take this thing apart. Also over here, you can, since this is a dual rail supply, then we have two panel mount fuse holders. This one will be for the V plus, and this one here will be for the V minus. To give you a better idea of how all this comes together, let's pull up the 3D model inside Inventor. Looking at the front view, you can see how the interface elements and the control layout align for the operator. Let's swing around to the back view. Here you can see the mounting hardware. You can see the strain relief for the shielded cable. Here's our dual battery compartment, and here's our two fuses. Alright, let's go back to the front view, and then let's take a view at the top. So you can see right inside. You can see the PCB laid out inside the enclosure. So I think it's going to look pretty good. To understand how these two boards talk to each other, let's trace the signal flow. It starts at the piezo sensor head, which connects via a shielded cable to the preamp stage. Now the preamp stage has an adjustable gain from 1 to 21, which is adjusted with a pot. You can see that this here two items is going to be inside an enclosure. Now when we come from out of the preamp stage, we're going through another shielded cable to the bandpass filter. Now pressurized PVC water leaks typically emit acoustics in the 70 to 750 Hertz range. Because of this, I engineered this filter with custom tuning flexibility. The high pass cutoff can be dialed anywhere from 30 to 210 Hertz, and the low pass cutoffs adjust from 900 Hertz up to 1.25 kilohertz. Now the massive benefit of having these adjustable cutoffs is total environmental control. If you're testing near heavy traffic or a running AC unit, you can raise the high pass cutoff to aggressively slice out that low-end ground rumble. Likewise, if wind or ambient high-frequency noise is bleeding in, you can dial down the low-pass cutoff. This lets the operator completely isolate the exact acoustic footprint of the leak, regardless of the background environment. From there, the clean signal splits, driving the audio power amp for the headphones, and also feeds our signal overload monitoring circuit. So for example, if we look at the bandpass filter, we see that it's going to a signal buffer. Now this is to isolate this here bandpass filter from all of these other stages so that we don't upset this here frequency response of this here bandpass filter. From the signal buffer, you can see this going down to the audio power amp, which then drives the headphones. Also out of the signal buffer, we're driving the signal overload comparator. Now what this is going to be doing is if the signal is too strong, then it's possible what'll happen is that we will get distortion in our output over here in the audio power amp. And what we want is we want a clean, crisp signal. We don't want any distortion to come through because the signal is too strong. Alright, so from there we're going to take this and we're going to feed it to a one shot and also a timer, which is then going to cause a red LED to blink if the signal is too strong. If the signal is too strong and the LED is blinking, all we have to do is back off on the preamp gain so that we will eliminate that distortion. Then at that point the red LED will stop blinking. If we come up to here, we can see that we have the low battery stage, which is driving the yellow LED. Since we have a dual rails here, we're looking at both the positive voltage and the negative voltage on the batteries. And if either one of them gets low, then the yellow LED will come on. This is your signal that it's time to recharge the batteries. The green LED is just a power indicator to say that we have power to the board. Now if you look, you can also see that a lot of these here voltages are plus and minus 8.5 volts. That's because most all of these stages are using plus or minus 8.5 volts for these stages. But there are a few stages that is using only a single-ended supply of just 8.5 volts, and that's represented by the red bus here. For example, you can see that the audio power amp is just using a single-ended supply, along with the one-shot timer, and also a reference circuit here, which is going to be generating 2.048 volts. However, I do need negative 2.048 volts also. So we have a buffer that's going to be for the 2.048 volts, and we're using an inverting amp to create the negative 2.048s. The reason being is because I'm looking at the positive and negative peaks on the overload, and also, as I mentioned, we're looking at the positive and negative voltages on the low battery circuit. So hopefully that will make a little bit of sense, and you can see how the signal flows in this here project. Now, even though it's not fully wired up yet, here's a preview of how the final assembly will look. Now let's take a closer look at each parts of it. Okay, as you already know, this is our preamp head, has a piezo crystal. Here's our resonator plate. Now as we go up, we can see that we have this here hardware off to the side, and this is a weight. It's a 2-pound weight, and what the purpose of this is to counteract the effects of this maybe tipping over, because the enclosure, main enclosure up top, is sticking out a little further to the left. Okay, and you can see this got 2 Minilac hanger straps, so you can slide this up and down. And now we can see that what's going to happen is from the preamp, we're going to have a shielded cable. It's going to run up inside this 1/2 inch rigid conduit, 4 foot long, and it's going to come up, and it's going to come up, and it's going to go through this pulling L. It's going to go through this strain relief. Then the cable is going to come down, and it's going to come right into this strain relief here. Now if you notice, I have 2 Minilac hanger straps that's mounted to this here rigid conduit. Now the purpose of this is there's different heights in people. So you'll be able to take this enclosure so you can slide it up and down to suit your height. Loosen the straps, slide it where you want, lock it down, and you're good to go. Now one of the things that makes this better, I think, is a lot of the commercial units, you know, they'll have a strap attached to the main enclosure unit, and then it's going around your neck and your shoulders. So you got to sit there, kind of hold this in your hand. And another thing that makes this beneficial is that the shielded cable is inside the conduit, so it's protected, and it's also going to help with the shielding. A lot of the commercial units, if you look, the piezo head down at the bottom, they got it with a cable, and they're actually picking up the whole piezo head with the cable and moving it. So this way you don't have to do that. All you have to do is you grab this here conduit, which acts as a handle, pick it up, set it down on the concrete, let it go, and then listen. And of course, your headphone jack is going to be plugged in right here, so you'll have your headphones right there with it. If you want to follow along with the build and for the final prototype, and possibly we're going to be listening to, say, around the pool to see the, you know, maybe we can find a leak or something like that. Be sure to subscribe, and also if you have any questions or comments, let me know. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.